Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. Thank you for stopping by again. It's been a few days since I have been here to be able to do videos, and I came back to find a bunch of messages in, and I have dealt with those. You keep in mind that I have over 100 videos here, and when people come into YouTube and they put in search terms that have to do with Panama, sometimes they're sent to my channel, but typically they don't come in at the home page of the channel. They come into whatever video YouTube thinks is the appropriate one for them to see. And so they'll pop up all over the place. And you won't see many of those because, well, you may have seen that video a long time ago, or it just isn't one that's of interest to you. But it does mean I have to be pretty busy when I get back and I find that I have quite a list to get through. It's a pleasure to do it. So that's another reason why when you look at numbers or how many people watch a particular video, it does not indicate how many people are coming into this channel. They come in, as I say, everywhere. So, and they're all welcome, all of you are, regardless of where you came in. Now, I just bring you up to date on a few things. World Youth Day went very well. Couldn't really have asked it to go any better than it did. I won't go into detail, it's not necessary. But we had tens of thousands of young people here. We had more tens and tens of thousands, so we had a few 100,000 total for the final activities of that week. It was a lot of work. We were very concerned that everything runs smoothly. They opened up some special gates at the new terminal, which is not yet completed, to take care of the crowds. And we also opened some of the new stations on the second metro line, which is not yet ready to begin full service. Both worked very well. I'm particularly pleased with the airport. We got some good feedback on that. There were no problems of any significance. So it went very well. Now, from the perspective of those who came for the activity, this was a good time, and I'm very pleased for them. What also pleases me is that it was good training, so to speak. Now, we have a convention center here, we have for a long time, but it only handles 5,000, 6,000, 7,000 people, which in today's world is not very many, and doesn't allow us to compete for larger conventions. Really out of date, needs updating, and it is on the way to conclusion. It should be done this year. It will be done this year. It's just about 3 years later than we expected. So everyone's been very frustrated waiting for it, but here it is about to open up. It can handle upwards of 25,000 people, which is a lot more. And at the same time, very soon, we open the second terminal at the international airport. Now, our airport, we're a small country. You take a country like Mexico. Mexico City has more than 10 times the population of Panama City in metro areas, and the nation has 30 times our population. It's a very well-known country. It has a large economy and a lot of activity. Their airport in Mexico City has links or direct flights to over 50 destinations outside Mexico, around the world. We're tiny, but we are the hub. We are at the center of the Americas. We have over 80 of these international flights. When the second terminal opens up, I don't think it's going to take us long before we hit 100 destinations. And above all, it's going to greatly increase the number of people coming in. It will increase the number of flights, too, because we're just about over at capacity because we've been waiting to get this thing done. And so it will be put to use immediately. In fact, it was put to use in part for World Youth Day. So the business of having a large number of people arrive and within, say, a 48-hour period to stay for a week and then leave, most of them, within 48 hours afterwards, this is a terrific stress, so to speak, in a system that's not used to it. Well, now we've done it, and we did it very well. And without the airport being completely ready yet, it was really very impressive how we were able to pull that off. So this makes me feel a lot more comfortable and makes everybody feel a lot more comfortable. We're going to be very much ready for this new terminal. It's important to us. Now, in terms of the economic situation, I want to take a moment to talk about foreign investment. Not because I want it to become too major issue, because in the beginning of the year, foreign investment here fell about 17%, and we were concerned for a whole variety of reasons. I mean, remember, this is a global economy, and so it's not just about Panama. A lot of things happening. That eased up. The first quarter was down badly. In the second quarter, it was still down. So for the first 6 months of the year, 2018, we weren't quite so far behind as we had been before. And now we have the figures for the third quarter through September. And the January to September 2018 is up. So the 2017 period. So we're back to what we have been normally doing, which is growing, and foreign investment being a very critical part of it. That's excellent. Now, we won't have the final 3 months of the year and the last statistics and everything put together for a while, but I'm not as concerned that somehow or other foreign investment was really falling off. What we're particularly pleased with is not only new foreign investment coming in, but it's already the people who are already here, the international corporations, 150 of them or whatever, who have their regional offices located here, and many of their operations. They are often accused in other countries of shipping all their profits back home to the home country. So if a business working in a country like Panama reinvests its money in the country they're working in, Panama, that's a big plus, instead of just sending it back to some head office somewhere in Europe or North America or Asia. And the fact of the matter is that's up too. And it's very, very healthy. We're so far ahead of the half dozen Central American countries to our north that traditionally we're about 45% of all foreign investment for the whole Central American region, including Panama, is ours. And way behind us is Costa Rica, and then the others are much smaller. So we're used to this. It's a very important part of our economic growth. So to see this turnaround is a very positive thing. It also is perhaps the first sign that things are going to be getting better this coming year, which I and a lot of other people think is likely to be the case. Frankly, we're going to get so many of these big projects done. That's the important thing. The Metro line will be up, and the new convention center, and the new airport, and a whole variety of other infrastructure projects will finally be brought to an end, and new ones will be started. We're constantly in motion here, but the ones being set up have a terrific impact on our ability to attract investment and income coming into the country from outside, and that's what really leads to a country growing. So with this, a couple of things are likely to happen. This is our best season. It's not summer here. We're not south of the equator, but we treat it like summer. We often refer to it as summer vacation because the school is closed down. It's the best weather of the year. And by this time, the season, which begins typically in early December, early mid-December, comes up this year. The odds are that the hotels are going to be a lot more expensive. I shouldn't say a lot more, but they'll be more expensive. Because once we get conventions coming in, once we get the airport open and the new flights and this, that, and what have you, and all the other work that's scheduled to come, we could see the hotels here who have been suffering, waiting for all these projects to get done and having to just get by as best they can while they waited. Now, finally, they will be able to take advantage of this. The upside for you is that during this period so far, you've been able to get hotels here quite cheaply, usually double digits, including some very good hotels, the Waldorf Astoria, the Marriotts, the various Marriotts, the Sheratons, any number of others, Hiltons. We have more Hiltons than we can throw a stick at. It's a lot of activity, and they have not been able to charge what is for them a profitable rate to run some very nice hotels here at a profit. That will change, and so hotels will become more expensive, and that's to be expected, and it has to happen if we're going to maintain this large number of hotels. And the work that's underway now is exactly what's going to lead to that and to help with that situation. So that's the downside, of course, for you, is that if you're not coming in for another year or something, you'll pay more money, but, well, that's life. And it's still going to be probably substantially cheaper than a lot of other capital cities where people typically spend $200 and $250 a night for a good, really good hotel. That's so we should still be cheaper than that for sure, but by the same token, it's not going to be quite so cheap. At the same time, though, it's likely, I believe, to lead to finally a stabilization in the price situation for the purchase of homes. And although the real estate sector here is conservative in the sense that they're really back in the 20th century, and I constantly deal with this because I'm working on, really on behalf of people like you coming in, trying to encourage people to open up developments that are more reasonably priced, that provide services that you want. We have Europeans coming now. Europeans are looking for different things than North Americans, primary among them. Not for all people, of course, but as a generalization, is they tend to look for smaller apartments and smaller homes than Americans and Canadians, because they're used to that. They come from cities where there's not as much land available. So they are perfectly comfortable in a home that an American or Canadian would consider to be very small. Well, they don't want 150 square meters or 1,600, 1,700 square feet of apartment. I've had several of them say, I'd be happy with 50 or 60. Now that's 600 square meters, and that's 600, 700 square feet, which is a small, by North American standards, a very small apartment. So we have a different group coming in. Yes, there's overlap in both cases, but we really need to rethink. And I get irritated because I have a great deal of difficulty in getting people to focus not on what they want to build, but what people want to buy. We're going to get this worked out one of these days. At least I hope so. That's my day job. That's what I work on. But that requires dealing with people who've got the money to do it. And that's why you don't hear much about it here, because I don't expect you to. And I don't, that's not my interest. This has been operating here for, 14 years. It has nothing to do with you sending me money, but I have to get out there and find it in the hopes of being able to get hold of the people savvy enough to take advantage of what I think is going to be a very good market in the next few years. So that is an important shift. If it happens, I'm going to keep you up to date on that, because we have to work our way through all of these phases and see if everything works out. And one thing I don't have, and nobody has, is a crystal ball that gives me all the answers and exactly what the future holds. So as an analyst, I have no choice but to be continually willing to adapt and to shift as additional information becomes available. So that's what I do. In the meantime, I'll talk a little bit more about some other subjects coming up shortly. One thing, we will be entering into the election season here. Nothing to worry about there. We're not like some nations who have a lot of violence associated in the streets. This is not us at all. So there are very strong feelings. There are definite candidates here. They have definitely got different messages. People take it very seriously, and the night of the first televised debate among presidential candidates, I swear the entire nation is attached to a television or a radio. They're interested. They really want to know. It's a small country, and most voters, if they want to, can meet and shake the hand of all the candidates, because they're constantly in motion. And in a nation half the size of the state of Florida, it doesn't take you too long to cover the nation and people can show up and talk to you. So it's really much more of like a village election, so to speak. And that's very important to the working of democracy here. So I'm actually looking forward to it, although I will be sick and tired of the advertising by the time it's over with, and like everybody else, will be delighted when the returns are in and a new president is elected. The presidents cannot run for re-election, so we always have a new president coming. They have to be, they can run again, but they have to wait 10 years before they can run again. So that doesn't happen very often. As a result, we always, every election, we get a new president, a new vice president, and we get new members, well, not entirely, but they're not prevented from running for re-election, but we'll get a number of new members in the National Assembly. In this instance, we're going to have a new mayor of the Panama City too, because the current mayor is running for president. It's be a lot of change. That's held on May 5th, Sunday, and it will be like every election I've seen here. It's my fourth time through it. Quiet, calm, organized. Actually, election day here is a delightful day. The one exception, being from the viewpoint from some people, is no sale of alcohol on election day. And yeah, my attitude is, if you're too lazy to go out on Saturday and pick something up, then too bad for you. So that's that sort of thing, I want to get involved more with that, and I now am finally going to be able to focus a little bit more on the city, which I think really needs a lot more attention. So be it. I don't want to continue any longer than this. I'm delighted to be with you, and I look forward to seeing you again. Thank you very much for stopping by.